The cargo freighter docked at Meridian Gate with a hiss of release valves. Day One watched through the viewport as the massive station rotated slowly against the backdrop of dead space. Another delivery, another station, another day of keeping his head down and his business clean. He grabbed his supply pack and headed into the station. The market district was crowded as always. Aliens of every shape and size moved through the narrow corridors between stalls. The air smelled like a dozen different atmospheres mixed together, processed and recycled until it barely resembled anything natural. Day One had learned long ago not to stare, not at the floating gas beings that shimmered like aurora lights, not at the stone-skinned giants who moved with surprising grace, not at anything that might take offense. Keep your eyes forward, do your business, get out. That was the rule. He needed protein bars and water tablets, basic supplies for the next leg of his route. The human supply vendor was 2 levels down, past the alien food courts where things writhed on plates that he tried very hard not to think about. That's when he saw her. A small figure huddled between 2 cargo crates in a shadowed alcove. At first he thought it was just refuse, the kind of trash that accumulated in station corners. But then it moved, a child, maybe 6 years old, maybe younger. She had the scaled skin of a Velthri, that proud reptilian race that ran half the trading guilds in this sector. But something was wrong. Velthri were never thin like this. Their scales were supposed to gleam like polished stone, but hers were dull and cracked. She shivered, which made no sense because Velthri were cold-blooded. They didn't shiver. Day One should have walked past. Station rules were clear about interfering with alien juveniles. Different species, different laws, different problems. Not his business. But she looked up at him with eyes that were too large, too aware, too human in their desperate hunger. And for just a moment she reminded him of someone he'd lost a long time ago. He pulled a protein bar from his pack. "Hey," he said quietly, crouching down to her level. "You hungry?" The child stared at the bar like it was made of pure gold. Her small hand reached out, trembling, and snatched it from his palm. She tore the wrapper with her teeth and devoured it in 3 bites. She didn't even chew properly, just swallowed chunks of it whole. Day One pulled out his water bottle. "Slow down. You'll make yourself sick." She drank when he offered the bottle, gulping it down so fast that water ran down her chin and neck. When she finished, she looked at him again. Those strange eyes studied his face like she was memorizing every detail. "Where's your family?" Day One asked. The child didn't answer. Maybe she didn't understand Galactic Common. Maybe she was too scared. Day One sighed and stood up. He should report this to station security. A lost child, even an alien one, needed proper care. But as he turned to leave, small fingers wrapped around his hand. The grip was stronger than it should have been. The child's scales felt wrong against his skin. Too smooth, too warm, like they weren't quite real. She looked up at him and spoke in a voice that cracked and broke around words she barely knew. "Mother, coming, you by run." Day One's blood went cold. What mother? Where is she?" But the child just squeezed his hand tighter, and he felt something pulse beneath her skin, like electricity, like energy moving in ways that shouldn't be possible. "You, run," she whispered again. Then she let go and scrambled deeper into the shadows between the crates, vanishing like she'd never been there at all. Day One stood there for a long moment, staring at his hand. His skin tingled where she'd touched him. He shook it off, trying to convince himself it was nothing. Just static from the station's recycled air. He continued to the supply vendor, bought what he needed, and tried to forget about the strange child. But the tingling in his hand wouldn't go away, and neither would the memory of her eyes. That night, back in his ship, Day One couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the child, about the warning, about the way she'd disappeared so completely. He pulled up the station's security interface and searched for any reports of lost children. Nothing. No missing persons alerts. No distressed parents looking for their kids. Then he made a mistake. He accessed the security camera footage from the market district, from the exact spot where he'd found her. The video showed him crouching down, showed him pulling out the protein bar and the water bottle, showed him offering them to empty air. There was no child in the footage. Just him, alone, feeding nothing. Day One's hands shook as he replayed the video 3 times. Same result. He knew what he'd seen. He knew what he'd felt. But the cameras showed something different. He was about to close the interface when his ship's proximity alarm chimed. Someone was at his airlock. Day One pulled up the external camera feed. The docking corridor was empty, but the airlock controls showed that someone had entered the override code, his personal code, the one only he knew. The inner airlock door slid open. The child stood in his cargo bay. She looked worse than before. Her scales were peeling now, and underneath them he could see something else. Something that shifted and changed in the dim light. "How did you get in here?" Day One demanded. "How did you know my codes?" She took a step toward him, and her disguise flickered. For just a second he saw what was underneath. Something pale. Something with too many joints. Something that definitely wasn't Veltri. "Mother, hunting," she said, and now her voice sounded clearer. Stronger. "The blood debt. She wants me back." "What are you?" Day One asked, but he wasn't sure he wanted the answer. Before she could respond, every light on his ship flickered and died. Emergency power kicked in, bathing everything in red, and in that crimson glow, Day One saw something else. Station-wide alerts began broadcasting on every channel. An unidentified ship had docked without authorization. Security couldn't get biometric readings on the pilot. Witnesses reported seeing something moving through the corridors. Something that looked like a shadow given form. 3 alien traders had been found dead. Their bodies looked like they'd aged 1,000 years in seconds, dried husks of what they used to be. The child grabbed Day One's arm. "She's here. Mother found me, found us." And from somewhere deep in his ship, from the cargo bay or the engine room, or maybe from everywhere at once, a voice spoke. It sounded like bones grinding against stone. Like wind through a graveyard. Like every nightmare given sound. "I smell my daughter," the voice said, "and I smell the human who dares shelter her." Day One's first instinct was to grab a weapon. He had a plasma cutter in the tool locker, meant for repairs but deadly enough in close quarters. But the child, this thing that wasn't really a child, shook her head violently. "Won't work. Can't kill her. Can't even hurt her. Then what do I do?" Day One hissed. The lights came back on. His ship's systems rebooted. Everything seemed normal again, except for the cold dread pooling in his stomach and the impossible child standing in his cargo bay. She looked terrified. Whatever she was, whatever she'd done, right now she was just scared, and scared things made mistakes. "Tell me what's happening," Day One said, forcing his voice to stay calm. "All of it, now." The child's disguise flickered again. Veltri scales, pale skin, something else entirely. She couldn't seem to hold one shape. I'm Wraithkin. We're supposed to be extinct. Everyone thinks we're gone." Day One had heard stories about Wraithkin. Old spacer tales, the kind drunk pilots told in station bars. Creatures that fed on life itself. Parasites that drained their victims dry. Monsters from before the Galactic Union. Before the trade routes, before civilization spread to the outer systems. "You feed on people," he said. It wasn't a question. She nodded miserably. "My kind, we need life essence. We drain it from other beings. But I didn't want to. I tried not to. Mother said I was broken, defective. She said I had to learn or I'd die. So you ran away. I tried to hide. Tried to live on scraps. Energy from machines, heat from vents, anything but..." She trailed off, looking at her hands. "But I was starving. Then I saw you. You smelled different. Stronger. Like you had so much life that maybe a little bit wouldn't hurt you." Day One's hand went to his chest, the tingling sensation when she'd touched him. "You fed from me, just a little. I'm sorry. I was so hungry. But you didn't even notice, did you? You didn't get weak or sick. You just made more." She looked at him with wonder. "What are you?" "I'm human. Just human. No, humans don't do that. I learned about your kind. You're supposed to be fragile. Easy prey, but you're not. You're different somehow." Before Day One could respond, his communication console erupted with alerts. Station security was broadcasting on all emergency channels. The unknown intruder had been sighted on level 7. More bodies found. 5 this time. All drained. All aged beyond recognition. And the intruder was moving toward the docking levels. Toward Day One's ship. "We need to leave," Day One said, moving to the pilot's chair. "Right now!" But the child grabbed his arm again. "You can't run. She'll follow. She always follows. And she's so much faster than any ship." Then what? The entire ship shuddered. Not from an impact. From something else. Like reality itself bent wrong around them. The lights dimmed again, and this time they didn't come back bright. They stayed low, casting long shadows across every surface, and in those shadows something moved. It came through the cargo bay wall like the metal wasn't even there. Sliding through solid matter like water through cloth. It took shape slowly, deliberately, like it wanted them to see what was coming. The mother was tall. Too tall for the cargo bay. She had to bend, to fold in ways that hurt to look at. Her body seemed to exist in too many places at once, shifting between solid and shadow. Her face was the worst part. It kept changing. One moment she had features like the child. The next she looked human. Then something else entirely. Beautiful and terrible and wrong. When she spoke, her voice came from everywhere. My daughter. My foolish, broken daughter. Did you really think you could hide from me? The child, Hana. Daewon realized he'd started thinking of her by that name, pressed against his back. Stay away. I won't go back. I won't be like you. You are like me, the mother said, and now her voice sounded almost sad. You'll always be like me. It's what we are. What we were made to be. Daewon stepped between them. It was stupid. He knew it was stupid. This thing had just killed 8 people without breaking a sweat. What could he do against something like that? But he did it anyway. She doesn't want to go with you, he said. The mother's attention focused on him, and it felt like being crushed under the weight of a planet. Those shifting eyes studied him with interest. The human. The one who fed my daughter. The one who bonded with her. Bonded? She drank from you. You accepted it. That creates a connection in our kind. She's tied to you now. Bound. The mother moved closer, and the temperature in the cargo bay dropped 20 degrees. Which means I have to kill you to reclaim her. Or you could just let her go, Daewon suggested, knowing it was pointless. The mother laughed. It sounded like wind through dead trees. Let her go? Let her starve? Let her suffer and fade because she's too weak to embrace what she is? No, I'll take her back. I'll teach her properly, and I'll remove the obstacle that gave her false hope. She reached out with a hand that had too many fingers, each one tipped with something sharp and dark. Daewon didn't think. He just moved, grabbed Hana and threw himself toward the pilot's chair. His fingers slammed on the emergency protocols. The cargo bay explosively decompressed. For any normal creature, being sucked out into the vacuum of space would be fatal. But the mother just hung there in the void, watching through the open bay door. She didn't need air, didn't need pressure, didn't need anything but life essence to sustain her. And she was done playing. She came back in through the wall again, this time faster, angrier. Her form solidified into something more solid, more dangerous. Claws that could rend metal, teeth that shouldn't exist in a mouth that size. Daewon sealed the cockpit door and activated every lock he had. It wouldn't hold her. Nothing would hold her. But it might by seconds. What do we do? He asked Hana. She looked up at him, and her disguise had fallen away completely now. Underneath, she was pale and strange, with eyes too large and limbs too long. But still small. Still a child. She's right about one thing, Hana said quietly. I've been feeding from you. Little bits. I didn't mean to, but every time I'm near you, I take a little of your life. I noticed, Daewon said, hearing the mother tearing through his ship. I feel it. Like a small drain. But I'm okay. I'm still okay. That's not normal. Anyone else would be dead by now. But you just make more life. Faster than I can take it. I've never seen anything like it. So humans are just naturally resistant to your kind? Maybe. Or maybe you're special. Or maybe, she touched his hand gently, maybe humans are something my people forgot about. Something we were supposed to fear. The cockpit door buckled inward. Metal screamed as it tore. The mother's hand punched through, reaching for them. Daewon did the only thing he could think of. The craziest thing. The most desperate thing. He hit the emergency ejection. The entire cockpit section separated from the ship with explosive bolts. They tumbled through space, caught in the station's gravity well. The planet below, dead and dark and forgotten, rushed up to meet them. As they fell through the atmosphere, burning and shaking and probably dying, Daewon saw the mother's ship detach from the station. Sleek and black and patient, she was following them down. Of course she was. Hana's small hand found his. I'm sorry. This is all my fault, Daewon squeezed back. Yeah, well, too late to worry about that now. The ground came up fast. The escape pod hit the planet's surface hard. Emergency foam deployed inside the cockpit. cushioning the impact but not eliminating it. Day-One's head snapped forward, then back. His vision went white, then red, then finally cleared. Everything hurt. He tasted blood in his mouth, felt something warm trickling down his forehead. His ribs screamed with every breath, but he was alive. "Hana?" he croaked. A small groan answered him. She was wedged in the corner of the cockpit, her pale form barely visible through the dissipating foam. "I'm okay, I think." Day-One forced himself to move. Every muscle protested. He checked the pod systems. Life support was minimal but functional. They had air for maybe 6 hours. No communications. The crash had fried everything useful. He looked out through the cracked viewport. The planet stretched out in all directions, gray and lifeless. Ancient ruins dotted the landscape, buildings that had been old when humanity was still climbing down from trees. No one knew who built them. The structures were too alien, too strange for any known species. In the distance, he saw the mother's ship landing, smooth, controlled, perfect. She wasn't in a hurry. Why would she be? They had nowhere to run. "We need to move," Day-One said, popping the emergency hatch. Desert air, thin but breathable, rushed in. The planet had atmosphere, at least. That was something. They climbed out onto barren ground. Rocks and dust and nothing else as far as the eye could see, except for those ruins. Massive structures of dark stone that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "The buildings," Hana said, pointing. "We can hide there." It wasn't much of a plan, but it was all they had. Day-One grabbed the emergency pack from the pod. Water, a few food bars, a flare gun that would be useless against the mother. They started running, his ribs stabbed with every step. His head pounded. But fear kept him moving. Fear and the knowledge that stopping meant death. They reached the nearest ruin as the mother's ship fully powered down. Day-One pulled Hana into the shadowed entrance of what might have once been a doorway. The stone was cold under his hands, old beyond measure. "She'll find us," Hana whispered. "She always finds me. Then we keep moving. These ruins go deep. Maybe we can lose her." They went inside. The interior was dark, lit only by cracks in the ceiling where weak sunlight filtered through. The corridors were wrong somehow. The angles didn't make sense. Walls met at impossible degrees. Rooms connected in ways that hurt the eye, and everywhere there were markings. Symbols carved into the stone. Day-One ran his fingers over them as they passed. They tingled against his skin, familiar somehow, like a word on the tip of his tongue. "Do you know what these are?" he asked Hana. She shook her head. "Old, very old. Older than my kind, maybe." They descended deeper into the ruins, down corridors that spiraled, through chambers that echoed with their footsteps, and behind them, distant but getting closer, they heard something else. Footsteps that didn't quite sound like footsteps, more like the whisper of silk against stone. The mother was hunting. Day-One pulled Hana into a small chamber and pressed against the wall. His heart hammered in his chest. His breath came too fast, too loud. The mother would hear it, would sense them. And she did. She appeared in the doorway like she'd always been there, solid now, fully physical. She'd chosen a form that looked almost human, tall and elegant, with long dark hair and a face that would have been beautiful if not for the eyes. Those eyes were still wrong. Still shifting. Still ancient and hungry. "Did you really think you could hide from me?" she asked. Her voice echoed strangely in the chamber. "I can feel my daughter's essence from miles away. We're connected, always connected." Day-One stepped in front of Hana again. Stupid, pointless, but he couldn't help it. "Why do you want her so badly?" he demanded. "She doesn't want to be what you are. Can't you just let her make her own choice?" The mother tilted her head. "Make her own choice? She's a child. She doesn't understand what she's choosing. If I let her go, she'll starve. She'll suffer. She'll fade into nothing. Is that what you want for her?" "I want her to be free. Free to die." The mother moved closer. "You don't understand our kind. We need life essence to survive. It's not a choice. It's necessity. Like you need water. Like you need air. My daughter refuses to feed properly. She takes tiny amounts and nearly kills herself doing it. That's not freedom. That's suicide." Hana spoke up from behind Day-One. "I won't feed on people who don't want it. I won't be a monster. You are what you are," the mother said. Her voice softened slightly. "I'm not trying to hurt you, child. I'm trying to save you. This human has filled your head with impossible ideas. But he'll die eventually. Humans are fragile, short-lived, and then what will you do?" I'll find another way, Hana said. There is no other way. The mother's form shifted, became larger, more solid. She moved faster than Daewon could track. One moment, she was across the room. The next, her hand was around his throat, lifting him off the ground. You've ruined her, the mother hissed. You've made her weak. You've given her hope for something that can't exist. For that you die. Daewon couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The mother's grip was like iron. He felt his life draining away, not from lack of air, but from something else. She was feeding on him, draining his essence like Hana had, but violently, cruelly. Then something strange happened. The markings on the walls began to glow. Soft blue light spread through the symbols like water flowing through cracks. The mother noticed. Her eyes widened. She dropped Daewon and stepped back. No, she whispered. That's not possible. Daewon gasped for air. His throat felt crushed. But he was alive. Somehow still alive. The symbols glowed brighter, responding to something. To him, what is this place? The mother demanded. Hana was staring at the walls. At the symbols. They're reacting to him. To the human. More lights activated throughout the ruins. Daewon heard machinery powering up. Ancient systems coming online after thousands of years. All because he was here. The mother looked at him with something like fear. What are you? I told you. I'm human. Just human. No. She backed toward the doorway. No human should activate these ruins. This place is old. Older than the trade routes. Older than galactic civilization. It predates everything we know. A hologram flickered to life in the center of the chamber. It showed a star map, but not a map of known space. This was different, ancient, and scattered throughout it were markers labeled with symbols that Daewon somehow could read. Human colonies, thousands of them, spread across this entire region of space, but dated thousands of years before humanity supposedly left Earth. That's impossible, Daewon said. Humans only reached space a few centuries ago. The mother stared at the map. Unless they didn't. Unless your kind has been here all along. Unless the records were wrong. Or changed. Or hidden. More holograms appeared. Images of a war. Humans fighting against something. Against shapes that looked like wraithkin. Massive battles. Entire worlds burning. And humans using weapons that looked like they were powered by life essence itself. My people fought yours, the mother said quietly. Long ago. Before we went into hiding. Before we became the last survivors of our kind. You beat us. You drove us to the edge of extinction. And then you forgot. You regressed. You went back to your little planet and forgot you'd ever been out here. Hana touched one of the holograms. What happened? The war destroyed both sides, the mother said. We nearly died out. And humans. Humans lost everything. Their colonies. Their technology. Their memory of who they'd been. Only a few of us survived. We've spent thousands of years in hiding, feeding carefully, trying to rebuild, and we made one rule above all others. She looked at Daewon. Never approach humans. Never let them remember what they were. Daewon felt sick. You're saying my species built all this? Fought you, won, and paid the price for it. Both our kinds paid. The mother's form shifted again, becoming more defensive. You being here, activating this place, it's dangerous. If other humans learn what they once were, if they remember the weapons they built, the ruins shuddered. More systems coming online, and from somewhere deep below, something massive began to power up. The mother's eyes went wide with terror. The defenses. You've activated the war defenses. The walls hummed with energy. Weapons that had slept for millennia targeting the only wraithkin in range, the mother. The ancient weapons fired, beams of concentrated energy, designed specifically to disrupt wraithkin biology, lanced through the chamber. The mother screamed. It was a sound that no living thing should make. Pain and rage and terror all mixed together, she fled, dissolved into shadow and smoke and poured through the doorway like water through a drain. Daewon heard her moving through the ruins, fast and desperate, with the weapons tracking her every step. Then she was gone. Out of the ruins, back into the dead wasteland, the weapons powered down. The lights dimmed but didn't go out completely. The ruins had awakened and they recognized Daewon as someone who belonged here. He collapsed against the wall, shaking. His throat still burned where the mother had grabbed him. His whole body ached. And his mind was reeling from what he'd learned. Humans had been here before. Had built these ruins. had fought the Wraithkin and won, and forgotten everything. Hana crept over to him. She looked different in the blue light. Less monstrous, more like what she was, a scared child caught in something too big for her to understand. Is she dead? Hana asked quietly. I don't think so. Wounded maybe, but not dead. Daewon pushed himself upright. We need to figure out what this place is. Really figure it out. Before she comes back, they explored deeper into the ruins. The facility, because that's what it was, responded to Daewon's presence. Doors opened for him. Systems activated when he approached. It was like the entire complex had been waiting for a human to return. In what looked like a control center, they found more holograms, more records. The story they told was both amazing and terrible. Humanity had spread across the stars thousands of years ago. They'd been explorers, builders, scientists. They'd encountered the Wraithkin early in their expansion. At first, there had been attempts at peace, at understanding, but the Wraithkin needed to feed, and humans were perfect prey, abundant life essence, easy to drain, delicious according to one translated Wraithkin record that made Daewon's skin crawl. The war that followed nearly destroyed both species. Humans discovered they could resist Wraithkin feeding better than other species. They healed faster, regenerated life essence quicker. But the Wraithkin were powerful, ancient, masters of technology that bent reality. The war ended when both sides used weapons that shouldn't have been used. Weapons that burned worlds, that collapsed stars, that left entire regions of space dead and empty. Humanity was scattered, most of their colonies destroyed, their survivors forced back to Earth, their technology lost, their memories fading over generations until they believed they'd never left their home planet at all. The Wraithkin nearly went extinct. Only a few survived, and they made a law. Never hunt humans again. Never remind them of what they'd been. Let sleeping monsters lie. Your kind feared mine, Daewon said to Hana. We were the monsters in your stories. Not monsters, a voice said from the doorway. Daewon spun around. The mother stood there, leaning heavily against the wall. Her elegant form was cracked and bleeding something that wasn't quite blood. The weapons had hurt her badly. Adaptable, she continued, her voice weak. Resilient. Impossibly stubborn. You couldn't be killed easily, couldn't be drained dry. You just kept coming back, kept fighting, even when you should have died. You found ways to survive. Stay back, Daewon warned, though he had no weapon, no way to fight her. Relax, I can barely stand. The mother slid down the wall to sit on the floor. Those weapons were made to kill my kind. I'm lucky they only wounded me. If I'd stayed in the kill zone another second, I'd be dead. Hana moved toward her mother but stopped halfway. Uncertain, afraid. Why are you here? Daewon asked. If you're hurt, why not run? Why not get away? The mother laughed. It was a bitter sound. Because my ship is damaged. Those weapons didn't just target me. They targeted anything with Wraithkin energy signatures. My ship's drive is dead. I'm stranded here. With you, with these ruins. With the one species my people are supposed to avoid at all costs. So we're all stuck. Yes. They sat in silence for a moment. The mother bleeding. Daewon exhausted. Hana caught between them both. Finally, the mother spoke again. I need to tell you something. About why I came after Hana. The truth this time. You said she was defective. Broken. I lied. The mother looked at her daughter. Hana isn't defective. She's evolving. She's becoming something new. And the Wraithkin elders can't allow that. Hana's eyes widened. What? Our kind has rules. Strict rules about how we feed, how we exist. When a child is born who refuses to follow those rules, who tries to be different, the elders take them. They perform a correction. They wipe away the personality and rebuild it. Turn the child into a proper Wraithkin. You mean they kill who she is, Daewon said. Essentially, yes. The body survives. But the person inside, the unique individual, dies. What comes back is obedient, perfect, empty. The mother's form flickered. She was having trouble maintaining her shape. I couldn't let them do that to Hana, so I took her and ran. I've been running for months, and they've been chasing, but I made it look like I was hunting her instead. Like I was trying to bring back a defective child. That way the elders would wait, would let me handle it. But then I interfered, Daewon said. Yes, you bonded with her, fed her, made her stronger, and now the elders know something is wrong. They felt the energy surge when you activated these ruins. Ancient human ruins, responding to a human. They'll come to investigate, to eliminate any evidence of the old war. Daewon stood up. How long do we have? Hours, maybe less. They were already close, following my trail. The mother coughed, and more of that not-quite blood dripped from her mouth. When they get here, they'll kill all of us. You for being human and remembering, Hana for being defective, and me for failing to deliver her to correction. Then we work together, Daewon said. The mother stared at him. Work together? Why would I trust you? Because we all want the same thing. To keep Hana alive. To keep ourselves alive. And maybe... He gestured at the ancient records still playing on the holograms. Maybe to find a way to end this. To change things. Change things how? Daewon walked over to another terminal. The systems responded to his touch, bringing up more data. This facility has something. A laboratory. A genetic compiler. It was used for something during the war, but the records are unclear. Hana joined him, reading the symbols that somehow they both could understand now. It modified life essence. Changed how it worked. Made it so humans could weaponize their own life force against us. Or maybe it could do the opposite, Daewon said. Maybe it could modify Wraithkin biology. Make it so you don't need to feed on sentient beings. Make it so you could synthesize life essence from other sources. The mother struggled to her feet. That's impossible. Our entire biology is built around draining life. You can't just change that, can't we? This facility changed humans, made us resistant to you, made our life essence regenerate faster. Why couldn't it change you too? Because it's never been done. Because the risks are we all die anyway, Daewon interrupted. The elders are coming. They'll kill us. But if we can prove that Wraithkin can change, can evolve, can become something other than predators, maybe we have a chance. The mother looked at Hana, at her daughter who'd refused to be what she was born to be. It would kill her. The process, the chances of survival, are better than zero, Hana said quietly. Which is what we have now. Daewon checked the terminal. The compiler needs massive energy. Using it will drain this entire facility. Probably destroy it. We'd have one shot. And it's designed for human genetics. Trying to use it on Wraithkin biology might not work at all. But it might, Hana said. She walked over to her mother. If it works, I could be free. Really free. And if it doesn't, at least I tried. The mother's face cycled through a dozen emotions. Fear. Love. Desperation. Finally, she nodded. If we're doing this, we do it now. Before the elders arrive. They worked together, human and Wraithkin, to prepare the compiler. The system was ancient but still functional. Daewon connected it to the facility's power core. The mother used her knowledge of Wraithkin biology to adjust the parameters. Hana would be the test subject. As they worked, Daewon felt the tingling in his hands grow stronger. The facility was using him. His life essence, his human resilience, it hurt, like something vital being pulled out through his skin. But he didn't stop, the mother noticed. You're dying. The facility is draining you. I know. You could stop, could leave, save yourself. No, I couldn't. She studied him for a long moment. You humans really are impossible. Finally, everything was ready. Hana climbed into the compiler chamber, a tube of crystal and metal that hummed with power. She looked so small inside it. I'm scared, she admitted. Me too, Daewon said. The mother placed her hand on the crystal. I love you. No matter what happens. Daewon activated the compiler. Energy flooded through the system, through Hana, through the entire facility. The lights blazed so bright he had to look away. The energy discharge from the compiler lit up the ruins like a small sun. Daewon felt it ripping through him, using his life essence as fuel for the transformation. His knees buckled. Blood ran from his nose. His vision swam with dark spots. The mother caught him before he fell. Hold on just a little longer. Inside the chamber, Hana screamed. Her body convulsed as the compiler rewrote her biology at a fundamental level. Her form shifted rapidly. Pale skin, shadows, something in between. The crystal around her cracked under the strain. Then, as suddenly as it began, it stopped. The lights died. The compiler went dark. Emergency power kicked in, casting everything in dim red. Daewon crawled toward the chamber. Hana! The crystal shattered. Hana fell forward into his arms. She was breathing, alive, but changed. She looked more solid now, more real. Her skin had taken on a slight blue tint, and her eyes, while still large, no longer shifted and changed. They were fixed, stable. She looked like herself for the first time. Did it work? She whispered. The mother knelt beside them, running her hands over her daughter, checking, analyzing. I can't sense your essence anymore. The connection we had, it's gone. Is that good or bad? I don't know. Hana sat up slowly. I don't feel hungry. I always feel hungry. But now, nothing. Like I'm full. She looked at her hands in wonder. I can't sense life essence at all. Can't feel it around me. Can't drain it. So it worked, Daewon said, relief flooding through him. You're free. But the mother's expression was worried. Or you're dying. Without the ability to feed, without that connection to life essence, you might just fade away over time. Only one way to find out, Hana said. She tried to stand and stumbled. The mother and Daewon both caught her. I feel weak, but not hungry, just tired. The process drained you, Daewon said. You need rest. A deep rumble shook the facility. Dust fell from the ceiling. The emergency lights flickered. No time for rest, the mother said, looking up. They're here. The elders. Daewon checked the facility's sensors. 3 ships had entered orbit. Large ones. And they were launching drop pods toward the surface, toward the ruins. How many? He asked. 3 elders, maybe a dozen warriors. The mother pulled Hana to her feet. We can't fight them. We need to run. Where? Your ship is dead. Mine crashed. We're stuck here. Then we hide, deep in the facility. Maybe they won't. They'll find us, Hana interrupted. She looked different now. Not just physically. She stood straighter, spoke clearer. They'll sense Mother, and they'll see the activated ruins. They'll know humans are here. They won't leave until we're all dead. Daewon's mind raced. The compiler was drained. The facility's weapons were down to minimal power. They had no ships, no way to escape, and an army of ancient predators about to descend on them. But they did have something. The facility itself. Thousands of years of human technology. Built specifically to fight Wraithkin. It was damaged, weakened, running on backup power. But it was still functional. I have an idea, he said. But you're not going to like it. The mother looked at him. Tell me. The facility responds to me. To human DNA, it used me to power the compiler. What if I give it more? What if I let it drain me fully? That would kill you, the mother said flatly. Maybe. But it might give us enough power to activate the weapons again. To fight back. No, Hana said immediately. I won't let you die for me. You might not have a choice. Daewon pulled up the facility's interface. Look, the weapons need massive power. The backup systems can't generate enough. But human life essence, specifically mine since I'm already connected to the facility, could give us 1 full weapons burst. Enough to take out the elders when they land. And then you die, the mother said. And Hana loses the person she's bonded to. The bond's broken, remember? She doesn't need me anymore. Hana grabbed his arm. That's not true. The compiler changed how I feed, but it didn't break our bond. I can still feel you. Still need you. Just differently now. Daewon looked at her. At this strange, brave child who'd refused to be a monster. At the mother who'd given up everything to save her daughter. They'd come so far. Sacrificed so much he couldn't let it end here. Then we find another way, he said. We fight together. The first drop pods hit the surface. Daewon watched on the sensors as Wraithkin emerged. These weren't like the mother or Hana. These were warriors, older, larger. Their forms solid and terrible. And in the center, walking calmly through the ruins entrance, came the 3 elders. They were impossibly ancient. Their forms barely held together, like they were more idea than matter. They moved through the facility like they owned it, weapons and defenses unable to track them, unable to see them. The mother's face went pale. That's Elder Taman. He's the oldest of our kind. He was alive during the human war. He remembers. Remembers what? What your kind did to us. How close you came to ending us completely. He's the one who made the law. Never approach humans. Never let them remember. She looked at Daewon. He's here to finish what the war started. The elders moved through the facility with purpose. They were heading toward the control center, toward Daewon and his companions. We need to move, the mother said. Now. They fled deeper into the ruins, down corridors that twisted and turned, through chambers that held ancient weapons and technology. The mother led, her knowledge of the facility's layout somehow perfect. How do you know where to go? Daewon asked. Genetic memory. All Wraithkin have it. We remember what our ancestors experienced. I'm remembering my grandmother's grandmother, who fought in these ruins during the war. She turned down another corridor. She died here. But not before she learned every passage, every hiding place. They reached a chamber deep underground. The walls were lined with strange cylinders, each one glowing faintly. The mother sealed the door behind them. What is this place? Hana asked. Daewon checked the facility's database. Storage. For genetic samples. Human soldiers who died in the war. Their DNA preserved for, I don't know what. For resurrection, the mother said. In case humanity was wiped out. In case they needed to be brought back. She looked at Daewon. Your kind was paranoid. They prepared for everything. Good thing, too, Daewon muttered. He accessed the storage systems. An idea was forming. Crazy, desperate, but possible. What are you doing? The mother asked. These samples, they're basically human life essence, right? Stored in stasis. What if we could use them? Feed them into the facility's power core? That's desecration. Using the dead to save the living, Daewon interrupted. These people died fighting your kind. Fighting to protect humanity. I think they'd understand. The mother hesitated, then nodded. Do it. Daewon began transferring the genetic samples into the power core. The facility responded immediately. Systems that had been dark flickered to life. Weapons charged. Defenses activated, but it wasn't enough. Not for a full assault. Not against 3 elders and their warriors. We need more power, Daewon said. He looked at his hands. At the connection he still felt to the facility. We need me. No, Hana said again, listen to me. I'm not talking about dying. I'm talking about connecting. Fully connecting, let the facility use me as a living power source. I won't die, but I'll be changed. Bonded to this place permanently. The mother understood immediately. You'll become part of the facility. Half human, half machine. You'll never leave here. But Hana will survive. You'll survive. Maybe that's enough. Before they could argue, the chamber door exploded inward. Elder Taman stood in the entrance, flanked by 2 other elders. Behind them, warriors filled the corridor. Humans, Taman said. His voice sounded like centuries of pain. I can smell your essence. Feel your life. You shouldn't exist. You should have stayed dead. Stayed forgotten? Daewon stepped forward. Sorry to disappoint you. You activated this facility. Awakened the old weapons. Reminded us of what we'd rather forget. Taman's form solidified slightly. And you changed one of our children. Tried to make her into something unnatural. She's not unnatural. She's evolved. She's an abomination. And you, human, are the cause. Taman raised his hand. I will drain you dry. I will erase every trace of you from this facility. And then I will correct the child properly. The mother stepped between them. You'll have to go through me first. So be it. The elders attacked as one. The mother fought back with everything she had. But she was still wounded, still weak from the weapons earlier. The warriors moved to flank them. Daewon ran to the power core. He slammed his hands onto the connection ports. Override. Full integration. Authorization Daewon Human Inheritor Designation. The facility responded. Tendrils of light erupted from the core, wrapping around him. Connecting to his nervous system. His blood, his essence. He screamed as the pain hit, worse than anything he'd ever felt. But he held on. Power flooded through him. Through the facility. Every weapon came online. Every defense activated. The ancient human war complex awakened fully for the first time in millennia. And Daewon was at the center of it all. The facility's weapons fired simultaneously. Beams of concentrated anti-Wraithkin energy filled the chamber. The warriors scattered. 2 of them didn't move fast enough. They dissolved into ash before they could scream, but the elders were faster. Taman and his companions became shadows, slipping between the beams like they were nothing. They reformed at the edges of the room, unharmed but wary. Impressive, Taman said. But these weapons killed our kind because they were unexpected. We know them now. We've learned to avoid them. Daewon couldn't respond. He was barely conscious. The facility was using him, burning through his life essence at an incredible rate. But he was regenerating too, faster than it could drain him. The pain was constant, but he stayed alive, stayed connected. Through his new link to the facility, he could sense everything. The elders positioning for another attack. The warriors regrouping. The mother, injured and fading, trying to protect Hana. And Hana herself, standing alone, no longer able to sense life essence, but somehow still aware of everything happening around her. She walked toward the elders, small, vulnerable, changed. "Stop," she said. Taman looked at her with something like pity. "Child, what has been done to you? What has this human made you into?" "He made me free," Hana said. "He gave me a choice. Something our kind never had before. Freedom to starve, freedom to fade into nothing. That's not a gift. That's cruelty. No, it's evolution." Hana spread her hands. "Look at me. I'm not hungry. I don't need to feed. I can exist without draining life from others. What if all of us could be like this?" One of the other elders, a being who called herself Kyung, moved closer. How is this possible?" "The humans built a machine, a genetic compiler. It changed my biology, made me able to synthesize life essence from other sources." Hana gestured at Daewon, still connected to the power core. "He risked everything to give me this chance. He's dying right now to protect us. He's dying because he's foolish," Taman said, but his voice held less certainty than before. The mother finally spoke, her voice weak. "I lied to you, Elder. When I said I was hunting my daughter to bring her back for correction, the truth is I was running. I was trying to save her from you. You betrayed our kind," Taman said. "No, I tried to save our kind. From ourselves. From what we've become." The mother coughed. "We're parasites. We're monsters. Every other species in the galaxy fears us, hates us. We live in shadows, feeding on scraps, hiding from the united forces that would destroy us if they found us. Is that survival? Or is that just a slower death?" Kyung tilted her head. "What are you suggesting? That we change, all of us? That we use this human technology to become something new, something that doesn't need to kill to survive?" Taman's form flickered with rage. "And lose what we are? Lose our power? Our essence? Lose our curse," the mother corrected. "Hana is proof it can work. She's alive. She's healthy. She's free." The third elder, who had been silent until now, finally spoke. His name was Baum, and he was the youngest of the three, though still ancient by any measure. "I want to see this compiler. I want to examine the child. If what you say is true, if this really works, then we need to know." "The compiler is destroyed," Daewon managed to say, his voice strained. "Used all its power on Hana. Would take years to rebuild it." "Then we have nothing," Taman said. "Just one changed child and the word of traitors." "You have me," Daewon said. "I'm connected to this facility now. I have access to all the data, all the research. I can show you how it works. Can teach you how to build new compilers. But only if you stop trying to kill us," Taman studied him. "Why would you do that? Why would you help us? We've hunted your kind for millennia. Because Hana deserves a chance to grow up. And because I'm tired of fighting." Daewon's knees buckled, but the facility's tendrils held him upright. "If we can end this cycle, if we can make peace between our species, isn't that worth trying?" Kyung moved toward Hana. The child didn't flinch, didn't run. Kyung reached out and touched her face gently. "I can't sense her essence. She's invisible to us now, but she's alive, thriving even." "How long since the change?" "An hour," the mother said. "Maybe less. Then we don't know if it's permanent. She could relapse, could start needing to feed again. Or she could be the first of a new kind," Baum said. He looked at Taman. "We could debate this forever. Or we could make a choice. We could try something new." Taman was silent for a long moment. Finally he spoke. "I was there when the humans almost destroyed us. I remember the war, the weapons, the fear. I swore I would never let our kind be vulnerable again, that we would survive no matter the cost. And look what that's given us," Baum said. "Centuries of hiding, of feeding on lesser beings, of being hated and hunted. Is that survival? Or is that just existing?" An alarm blared through the facility. Daewon checked the sensors. "We have incoming ships, lots of them. From the station, they detected the energy discharge when we activated the compiler." "Human military?" the mother asked. "Some, but also civilians, scientists. They're investigating." Taman's form darkened. "If humans find this facility, if they learn what they once were, if they remember the old weapons, then we're back at war," Daewon finished. "Unless we give them a reason not to fight, unless we show them that things can be different." Kyung looked at Taman. "We could run, scatter before they arrive, hide like we always do, or we could stay. We could take a chance." "If we stay, we're vulnerable," Taman said. The human will be broadcasting our position. His people will come armed, ready to eliminate us or ready to talk, Day One said. I can send them a message. Can tell them what happened here. About Hana, about the possibility of peace. They might listen. They might shoot first and ask questions later, Taman countered. They might, Day One admitted. But you know what? I'm willing to take that chance. Because I'm tired of fear. I'm tired of hate. And I think deep down you are too. Taman looked at the child Hana, standing small but unafraid. At the mother, wounded but defiant. At the human connected to an ancient war facility, dying slowly to protect a Wraithkin child. You humans really are impossible, he said, echoing what the mother had said earlier. Fine, we stay. We try this your way. But if it goes wrong, if your people attack, then we fight together, Day One said. All of us, human and Wraithkin, as allies instead of enemies. The approaching ships entered weapons range. Day One sent out a broadcast on all frequencies. He told them about the facility, about the Wraithkin, about Hana and the change. He asked for a chance to talk, to negotiate, to try for something better than endless war. For a long moment there was no response. Then a voice came through. Human, military, cautious but not hostile. This is Captain Minho of the UES Defender. We've received your message. We're holding fire, but we need proof. We need to see this changed Wraithkin. We need guarantees. Come down to the surface, Day One said. Come to the ruins, but come in peace. No weapons, no tricks. Just talk. And if we're walking into a trap, then you'll die, Taman said, his voice joining the broadcast. But so will we. We're all taking a risk here, human. The question is whether we're brave enough to try. Another long pause, then. We're sending a shuttle. 5 people unarmed. Meet us at the entrance to the ruins in 1 hour. The channel closed. Day One slumped in the facility's grip. Okay. Now we just have to not die for the next hour. The mother laughed weakly. Is that all? Bam moved to help her. Used his own life essence to heal some of her wounds. It was a shock to everyone. An elder giving life instead of taking it. If we're trying something new, Bam said, might as well start now. They spent the next hour preparing. Day One disconnected from the facility's power core, though the link remained. He could still feel the ancient complex in the back of his mind, could still access its systems. He would forever be part human, part machine. But he was alive. Hana helped her mother walk. The child looked stronger now, more confident. The change was taking hold. She was proof that Wraithkin could be different. When the hour was up, they gathered at the ruins entrance. Day One, Hana, the mother, the 3 elders, and several warriors who had agreed to stand down. The human shuttle landed. 5 people emerged. Captain Minho, 2 soldiers, a scientist, and a diplomat. The 2 groups faced each other. Human and Wraithkin, ancient enemies meeting on ancient ground. Captain Minho looked at Day One. You're the one who sent the message? I am. And these are Wraithkin. The things from the old stories. They are. And you want us to trust them? To believe they can change? Day One gestured to Hana. This is Hana. She was like them. A predator who needed to feed on life essence. But she chose to be different. And with help she changed. Really changed. She's proof it's possible. The scientist, a woman named Jion, moved forward. She pulled out a scanning device. May I? Hana nodded. Jion scanned her thoroughly. Studied the readings. Her eyes widened. This is incredible. Her biology has been fundamentally altered. She still has Wraithkin markers, but they're modified. Improved. She's synthesizing life essence from ambient energy. From the air. From sunlight. She's not a parasite anymore. She's something new. Can it be replicated? Captain Minho asked. The facility has all the data, Day One said. All the research. We can build new compilers. Change more Wraithkin. But it has to be voluntary. No one should be forced. Taman stepped forward. I speak for the Wraithkin. We're willing to tour. The negotiations took weeks. Human diplomats arrived from Earth and the core worlds. Wraithkin representatives emerged from the shadows, ancient beings who had hidden for millennia. They met in the ruins under the watchful sensors of the ancient facility that Day One still felt connected to. There were arguments. Moments when everything almost fell apart. Some humans wanted to use the genetic compiler as a weapon, to force all Wraithkin to change or die. Some Wraithkin refused to give up their traditional ways, seeing the transformation as betrayal of their species. But slowly, carefully, an agreement took shape. The Wraithkin who wanted to change would be helped. New compilers would be built, using the ancient human research and modern technology. The process would be voluntary. Those who changed would be welcomed into galactic society, given protection. Given rights, those who refused would be allowed to leave, to find distant worlds where they could live as they always had, but they would be monitored. If they preyed on sentient beings, there would be consequences. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Daewon watched it all unfold from the facility. He spent most of his time there now, connected to its systems, slowly understanding the depth of what humanity had once built. The ruins were just one complex among thousands scattered across this region of space. Humanity's first empire, lost and forgotten. Some days he wondered if they should stay forgotten, if maybe some things were better left buried. But then Hana would visit, growing taller and stronger each week, and he'd remember why he'd done all this. The mother, who had chosen the name Yuna for official records, came to see him one day. She looked different now, less threatening, more solid and real. She'd been one of the first to undergo the transformation after Hana. "How are you feeling?" Daewon asked. "Strange. I can still sense life around me, but I don't feel the hunger anymore. Don't feel the need to take." She sat beside him. "It's like being released from a cage I didn't know I was in." "Any regrets?" "Every day. But I'm also grateful every day. It's complicated." She looked at the facility around them. "Will you ever leave this place?" Daewon considered. He could leave. The connection wasn't absolute, but whenever he went too far from the ruins, he felt the pull. The facility needed him, and part of him needed it too. Maybe someday, when things are more stable, when I know Hana will be safe. She talks about you constantly, calls you her father in everything but name. I know. It's strange. I never planned to be anyone's father again. After losing my daughter, he trailed off, but here you are anyway. Here I am. The transformation process continued. More Wraithkin came forward. Not all of them. Taman estimated that only about 40% of their species chose to change. The rest scattered to the outer reaches of known space, determined to preserve the old ways. It worried everyone. These unreformed Wraithkin could cause problems, could attack colonies, could trigger new wars, but Baum, the youngest elder, had an idea. He formed a special unit of changed Wraithkin, whose job was to find and negotiate with the holdouts, to offer them the chance to change, to monitor them if they refused. Humans called them wardens. The Wraithkin called them the New Covenant, a promise that their kind could be more than monsters. Kyung took charge of building new compilers. Human scientists worked alongside her, combining ancient technology with modern advances. Within months, they had facilities operating on 3 different worlds. The transformation was painful. Not everyone survived it, but for those who did, the change was complete. They became something new, not quite Wraithkin, not quite anything else. A new species taking its first steps. One day, 6 months after the initial meeting, an alarm sounded. Not from the facility, from orbit. A fleet had arrived, large, military, unknown configuration. Daewon accessed the sensors. His heart sank. The ships bore markings he recognized from the ancient records. Wraithkin vessels, old ones, the kind used by the elders who had refused to change. Captain Minho contacted him immediately. "We're reading 100 ships, all Wraithkin design. They're not responding to hails. They're here for war," Daewon said. "The holdouts have united. They see what we're doing as a threat to their existence. Can we fight them?" Daewon checked the facility's weapons. They were powerful but designed for planetary defense. Against a fleet that size, they wouldn't be enough. "We need to evacuate," he said. "Get everyone off the surface. The civilians, the scientists, all of them." But Hana appeared at his side. She was taller now, looking almost like a teenager. No running. "We talked to them. They won't listen. They will, because I'm going to make them." Before Daewon could stop her, Hana accessed the communication systems, sent a broadcast to the fleet. "This is Hana. I was Wraithkin. I was like you. I fed on life essence. I killed without meaning to. I was a monster." The fleet held position, listening. Then a human showed me kindness, fed me when I was starving. protected me when I was hunted. He risked everything to give me a choice. And I chose to change, to be something better. Silence from the fleet. You think we're betraying our kind, giving up what makes us strong. But you're wrong. We're finally becoming what we were always meant to be. Not parasites, not killers, partners, friends, family. One of the ships broke formation, moved closer. A voice came through, old and weary. I am Elder Sora, I lead the unconverted. I've watched what you're doing here. Watched my kind line up to throw away millennia of tradition. And I've come to stop it. By killing us? Hana asked. If necessary. Yes. Then you'll have to kill me first, because I'm not going back. I'm not giving up this freedom. Hana's voice grew stronger. And I'm not alone. Thousands of our kind have chosen change. Are you really willing to slaughter them all? To destroy what might be our only chance at a real future? Another ship broke formation. Then another. Soon half the fleet had moved away from Elder Sora's command ship. It seems I'm not alone either, Elder Sora said. Many came here to fight, but many more came to see, to understand, to know if what you claim is real. Yuna's voice joined the broadcast. It's real, Elder, I've lived it. My daughter has lived it. We're free now, free from the hunger, free from the fear, and we want others to have that chance too. Even if it means losing what we are, we're not losing what we are. We're becoming more. The standoff lasted hours. Ships moving, repositioning, some coming closer to the planet, some hanging back. The tension was unbearable. Then Elder Sora's ship began to descend. Not attacking, just descending. Landing near the ruins, the Elder emerged. She was ancient, her form barely held together. She walked slowly, painfully toward where Daewon and Hana waited. Show me, she said. Show me this change. Show me it's worth losing everything we've been. Hana stepped forward. Let the Elder examine her, touch her, sense the changes in her biology. Elder Sora was silent for a long time. Finally, she spoke. I can't sense you. You're invisible to our kind now, but you're alive, healthy, strong. She looked at Daewon. You did this? A human? We did it together, Daewon said. Human and Wraithkin, helping each other instead of fighting. I fought in the old war. I remember what your kind did to us. And I remember what your kind did to us. We both lost everything. Do we really want to do it again? Elder Sora's form flickered, weakened. She was old. So old that maintaining physical form was becoming difficult. I'm dying, she said simply. My essence is fading. I've lived for thousands of years, feeding on others to sustain myself. But even that has limits. Eventually, we all fade. Then let us help you, Yuna said. Undergo the transformation. You could live. Really live. Without needing to drain others. I'm too old. The change would kill me. Maybe. But dying free is better than fading away as a parasite. Elder Sora looked at the assembled group. Human soldiers standing beside transformed Wraithkin. Scientists working together. Hana, small but strong, representing a future her kind had never imagined. I'll do it, she said. Not for me. I accept my death. But I'll do it to show my people that change is possible. That it's not betrayal, it's evolution. The process took 3 days. Elder Sora was so old, so entrenched in traditional Wraithkin biology, that the compiler had to work slowly, carefully. Daewon stayed connected to the facility the entire time, lending his life essence to keep the systems stable. When it was over, Elder Sora emerged changed. Younger somehow. Solid, real. Her form no longer flickered between states. I can feel sunlight, she said, wonder in her voice. Not as food, just as warmth, as light. I'd forgotten what that was like. She returned to her fleet, spoke to those who had followed her, showed them what she'd become. Some rejected her, called her traitor and left, but most stayed. Most wanted to try. Over the following months, the transformation spread, not just among the fleet, but throughout the hidden Wraithkin populations across the galaxy. Word spread about the change, about freedom from hunger, about a new way to exist. It wasn't universal. Thousands of Wraithkin refused, fled to the dark corners of space. But thousands more chose transformation, chose peace. Daewon watched it all happen. The facility became a hub of activity. Human and Wraithkin scientists working together.